the mechanical nuts and bolts, muscles and tissues and weight side as a therapist. So we'd send them away, we'd get them sorted out nutritionally, we'd get them on the right program, we'd figure out what they needed to take care of that nuts and bolts. But then from a pure, my job is to help someone win mindset, it was, how do we take this athlete and maximize the things that they just simply may not be getting enough of to ensure that we're recovering to the best of our abilities and getting us back to the place that we need to do it again. And that's when I started talking about things like human performance or success on the field or change in muscle tissue or growth is a hypertrophy situation. As we chase, as coaches, we chase human performance through the window of restoration, right? So what we do as coaches and as human performance guides is we are trying to get the athlete to progress at a rate greater than they possibly could have through natural circumstance by using external influence. You perform and improve at the rate of restoration. So how quickly you can recover before your next session is going to be one of the biggest determiners, for example, in an Olympic athlete's life, whether or not they have success or failure, okay? So for example, let's use a complete arbitrary fake number, but let's say a javelin thrower in the Olympics in that 4-year window, regardless of strength, regardless of any of those factors, okay? It doesn't matter what their close grip snatch is, for example, even though that, or split snatch, shit that seems made up, right? But regardless of what that is, let's say that in 4 years, the standard that was set is an athlete has to achieve 50,000 repetitions with the javelin to be able to be good enough to make it an Olympics. So from 0 to 4 years, if they do 45,000, they don't make the team. If they do 50,001, guaranteed success, okay? So if you use a completely arbitrary scenario like that, what we start to realize is the athlete that has the greatest potential for success is the one that can recover quick enough between exposures to stimulus that they can then do the stimulus again and get the volume required and exposure to sport and skill to be successful, to be technically proficient, okay? And so the only way that you can do that, and the only way that you can ensure that they have the capacity to tolerate the volume is recovery and restoration. Either mechanical, massage, hydrotherapy, cold tub, heat exposure, dietitian nutrition, supplementation, okay? You have to start looking at that to speed up that window so that it's a +1 during their next training session and not like a -5, right? Like Doc just talked about the fact that, you sleep 6 hours as a normal human, you sleep 6 hours, you're at a 25% deficit. Times that over 4 to 8 years, right? So that's just the sleep factor, right? And anyone that went to college or has a real job knows that sleep is a commodity that's very valuable, right? And we typically never get enough of it, right? Maybe you're working split shifts, right? Maybe you're patrolling all night long for 2 weeks and then you're like, oh, back to days for 2 weeks. And your body's like, well, I don't know what to do about this sleep thing, right? And over the course of a 20-year career, the detriment is massive, okay? So even though we can't always do things about that, it's how do we maximize the things we can control, okay? So that's kind of the short and dirty of what I'm going to talk a little bit about today.